Hello and welcome to the Week 9 edition of the Power Hour podcast. We're doing this a little bit early this week, but I'm sure you'll forgive us given the guest. This week we've got on the great Evan Silva. Last time he came on with us in the preseason, Johnny won over $2,000. I doubled up my money for the week. There's no one in the industry I learn more from on a week-to-week basis than Evan. That's what we're going to do here. Walk the slate, learn from the best, debate some of our favorite plays. Yeah. How you doing today, Evan?
It's good to be back. Had a great time talking football with you guys last time, and hopefully we can kind of set the table here. I mean, it's early in the week, we're not like confident in our decision making processes yet, but we're just talking about some initial impressions.
How you doing, Johnny?
Good, man. Good. Just gross slate. So it'll be interesting to talk about.
Well, the first game to start off with is actually kind of an exciting one. That's Atlanta at Tampa Bay. They're favored by 3.5. This is the Thursday night game. Opened with the second highest over-under. Johnny, who are you excited about on Atlanta?
Man, this is like after watching Derek Carr just dismantle that secondary, it's just, I mean, I feel like Matt Ryan's just going to do the same exact thing. But it also, I think if you're playing on Thursday, Ryan's going to be insanely highly owned. So's Julio. They say Julio's healthy, so obviously interested in him. And then it was weird with Freeman. Like, even though there was no Coleman, he still saw like 15 touches. He was coming off the field, sharing time with Teron Ward, who we loved in the preseason. So, I'm not as excited about this game as I feel like I should be. And then Austin Hooper's an interesting one, who, took over the Tammy role when Tammy went down, but he was playing behind Levine Toilolo, however it's pronounced, before last week. So I don't know how excited I am about him. What do you think, Evan?
Yeah, similar thoughts. I mean, was at like 75% of the snaps last week, so I think his workload should be a little bit bigger in this game. Assuming that his hip checks out. I don't even think he's on the injury report, though. Check that yet. Workload to be bigger, and the Raiders had a lot of good runs against the Bucks last week. And I think they're number 16 right now. Tampa Bay is number 16 in run defense DVOA.
Yeah.
You think of them as a tough run D, but they're just mediocre. They're not like, oh, we got to worry about this run D. And then Devonta Freeman leads all running backs in red zone targets on the year. So I think he's got a good touchdown projection. I think that he'll see more than 15 touches in this game. And I mean, his price is good on FanDuel still.
Yeah. He's better. He's a better price on FanDuel than DraftKings.
You're not worried about Gerald McCoy coming back? Or he came back for this run defense?
I mean, he's a good player, but I mean, he's been in there, He's been in there. My concern with these friggin' Thursday night games are that they're so tilting, like on Monday night.
Yeah.
Like these island games are just wild.
They've been
the Bears beat the Vikings.
Yeah, dude, I'm still not over that one.
And then in the last Thursday night game, like Blake Bortles ends up with like 35 fantasy points, and the one before that, Brian Hoyer gets hurt, in he was in like a really good spot too. I'm shaken by these games, man.
Yeah, and especially when you look at Julio, whose usage has been so up and down this season. Like they say he's completely fine, that the knee's okay, but he was like limping on the field as of Sunday. And then Mohamed Sanu did really well without him. And then Ryan's kind of slowed down over the last couple of weeks. He had most of his huge productive games came in the first 4 weeks of the season, and they've kind of just been playing like they run the ball, take play action shots, and it's like if those huge play action bombs don't connect, like Ryan doesn't have those huge games. He's still been good. It's just
I kind of like the chances of that happening this week, though. Like we know Tampa Bay just gave up the 9th most passing yards ever in a game to a single quarterback. But Cooper burnt them deep multiple times. Amari Cooper burnt Tampa Bay deep multiple times last week. I had a stat, but Tampa Bay has been giving up a lot of deep balls this season.
Yeah, definitely. They've allowed the second most completions of 40-plus yards, and I think the 4th most completions of 20-plus yards. Also allowed the 4th most completions of 20-plus yards. So theoretically, we should see some big pass plays in this game, although these friggin' island games keep going the way that they're not supposed to go.
Yeah. And then on the other side, we have I don't have any idea whether it's going to be Barber or Antone Smith. The way that
Coder confirmed today it's going to be a committee.
Yeah, but then you look at the last game and Smith played like all the snaps once Quiz went out. Barber was better the week before that though, so I mean who knows. And then Mike Evans has the dude he's had what 100-yard game. So if he doesn't score a touchdown, I don't know.
He's PFF's highest projected wide receiver this week.
And he was probably everyone's highest projected last week.
I mean, that could be a plus for tournaments. Like you're going to get Jameis and Evans lower owned than maybe these should be just because everyone was randomly all over them last week.
Yeah. How do you feel about Jameis and Evans, Evan?
I feel good about Evans. With Jameis, it's kind of like you kind of never know what you're going to get from him.
Yeah. And
what about Evans? I mean, the Falcons did not shadow with Trufant when these teams played in week 1. He ended up on VJax most of that game. He didn't shadow last week either. So, I mean, at this point, they're going to do there. And, I mean, good games against big-time corners anyways. He just – I mean, he was close to a big game last week. This is what happens with these receivers sometimes, like he had like 2 steps on DJ Hayden deep down the middle, and then DJ Hayden like grabs him by the arm and drags him down, and 2-yard touchdown that swings you from 4 catches for 50 to 5 catches for 100 and a TD, That's happened to Amari Cooper like all year, Now it's finally starting to come around for him, but 10 chances to make a bbig play in a game, and if they get some errant throws or the like bad luck or whatever, it doesn't happen.
That's like the scariest thing for me with Evans is the errant throws. I feel like every week I watch Winston just throw one right over his head when he's running open down the field.
Yeah. Even by PFF standards of targets, he has at least 11 targets in every game dating back to week 2. But he's still like 8th in receptions. Like you said, he only had that one 100-yard game. Everything else was below that. Do we chase the volume with him, or do we just kind of accept that he's not going to be efficient with that volume?
I mean, I don't think he's ever going to be that efficient with Jameis throwing the ball. but he's coming off a stinker, and I feel like everybody is mad at him this week.
Yeah, I like him in tournaments for sure. Probably not in play in cash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we're trying to jam in Johnny Holton, so.
Dude, I can't believe that's a thing.
We need to talk about that right now. I want to get your guys' take on it.
Oh, I can't, like, so this happened, during the baseball season, there was a guy who was like $27 or something. He was supposed to be $2,700. Who was like he was going to pinch hit, and people played him, and he scored 0 points. I mean, the thing for me is, like, I feel like when I force myself to pay up for players, my lineups generally are not as good. Because, I mean, you get, like, there are value players that are worth playing because you know they're going to score more than 3x on DraftKings, or on FanDuel they're going to score, 2.5, 3 times. But Holton, like, you're going to be lucky if the dude gets, like, what, one touch?
Oh, he's going to get a 0 for sure.
Yeah, and I like, how worthwhile is a 0 in your lineup just because you can pay up for an elite wide receiver when the elite wide receivers aren't getting it done?
Are there any value plays on the slate that stand out right now?
I mean, as of this, like, if as of right this second, there really are not, unless Steve Smith is back, or Carlos Hyde is out again, or I think Kenny Britt probably has success against the Panthers. And those are all kind of gross.
Are we already talking about value plays for the entire slate? Charkandrick West is still pretty cheap.
Okay, yeah.
Who else is around him?
We will probably not know about him if he's usable before Thursday lock.
Yeah. I think we should know about Steve. Steve Smith is a guy that I am probably going to be higher on.
Wallace, if Smith is ruled out.
Yeah, I think we know about Steve Smith by Thursday. I don't know. What do you think about Smith, Evan?
Reeves talks about this a lot, and I agree with him that playing guys coming back from, like, multi-week injuries is scary. And not something that, I mean, I usually want to see it first, Like, I know a lot of people try to play Eifert in his first game back. Dude runs out and plays 25% of the snaps.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think Steve Smith could very well be different. But he's also like 38 and coming off what was clearly a high ankle sprain. So, but I mean, hey, his prices, I mean, I'm not going to argue with it at his price. He's $5,500 on FanDuel.
Yeah. And I think the thing that helps me with Smith is, like, he had a bye. And that's kind of the thing. It's like,
right.
We don't even know, like, maybe he would have even played last week. We don't really know. I don't know. But I guess for me, if he were to practice in full tomorrow, or at least, like, gets a limited practice in tomorrow, that moves him up for me, I think. But
what about Sproles at 3,900 on DraftKings? There's Doug Peterson came out and said he's going to consider replacing Ryan Matthews with him as the number 1 running back, but he's out snapping Matthews 249 to 136 anyway. He's coming off of a 15-carry, 7-target game. He had 82% of the running back snaps, 15 of 23 carries, 6 of 8 running back targets. Giants are top 5 in yards per carry against.
Yeah, I would expect him to be the chalk on DK.
Yeah.
I mean, at this stage of the week, assuming we don't get a Devontae Booker or whatever.
Yeah, and I think he's like 300 above the minimum on FanDuel too, right?
Yep.
Though I don't know. I mean, the downside for Sproles, though, I feel like, is he gets them to the 3, and then Ryan Matthews punches it in.
Yeah.
I think even if Matthews is benched, he's still probably the goal line back.
It's never fun playing Darren Sproles, I don't think.
No.
Maybe on DK. Maybe on DK you can get mildly excited about it.
Yeah. I still remember the week last year when Sproles was announced as the starter, and it was like, just before lock.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone smashed him into their lineups, and he scored a touchdown the first drive, and it was so exciting. And then I think he saw 3 more touches the rest of the game, and I think Murray went off. So I don't know. I'm not a big Sproles guy.
Ever. Me either.
I don't know. Who are you seeing values? It's definitely a slate that I don't see much value, at least yet.
Tyrell Williams stood out to me initially, but I think that they're a little bit worried about his injury. Just want more information.
Yeah.
I think Jarvis Landry should be the chalk this week against the Jets. He's not a value dude, but he's priced at a good place.
I'm trying to flip here.
I don't know. I mean,
you said who against the Jets?
I want Jarvis Landry.
Right. Oh yeah.
Why are we excited about him? I'm kind of lost here. Jets have kind of been getting burnt deep. They're above average fantasy points against to slot receivers. I don't know how much he is on FanDuel, but I know he's 7,900 on DraftKings.
Ooh,
7,100.
He's 76 on FanDuel, but it's just a game where the Dolphins are likely to have to use him as an extension of the running game. The Jets, I can't remember who did they play last week.
The Browns.
The Browns. Andrew Hawkins scored 2 TDs.
Yeah.
Buster Screen has a knee injury. Their slot corner. Jarvis Landry has 6 or more catches in 6 of 7 games. In 6 of 7 games.
Yeah, and the crazy thing with him is Tannehill has thrown for 200-ish yards for 2 weeks straight, and he still has 80 and 90 yards. He is if he doesn't get yards, Tannehill doesn't get yards. With Ajayi just as the focal point. And I don't know what are you doing about Ajayi, Evan? I don't know what to make of that.
I don't think I'm going to use him in DFS against the Jets.
No.
But I also wouldn't have used him against the Bills. So, or the Steelers. So,
right. Yeah,
I guess it depends on your decision-making process, but that's not something that I personally would do.
Yeah, Scott, aren't his PFF stats insane over the last 2 weeks?
Ajayi, yeah, he's been incredible. I was kind of fading almost everyone on Miami. I think Tannehill struggles. I was looking at this on Monday. Out of every quarterback in the league, he has the largest disparity among passers in terms of QB rating when he's pressured versus not. And I just think the Jets bring the blitz and just really kind of own him this week. If there's anyone I like, maybe Stills, 38 of his 66 PPR fantasy points. Most of any receivers come from deep passes. And we just talked about how the Jets are getting burned deep. But at the same time, it's kind of hard to predict. He only has one more deep target than Devonta Parker. So I'm not sure. Maybe as a deep GPP punt play.
Well, the Dolphins are coming off their bye, and they got their offensive line is now healthy. With Albert and Mike Pouncey. And the Jets haven't been getting for a long time. I mean, I think they have like 6 or 7 sacks over their last 7 games. I mean, and then I think Tannehill has only taken 1 sack over his last 2 games, and now the O-line is healthy. So when I first looked at it, and again, it's Tuesday night, I mean, I kind of liked Tannehill. I mean, Josh McCown was a top 10 fantasy quarterback against the Jets last week. They pretty much any time that they face a competent quarterback, it's a good matchup. And I don't know. I mean, Ryan Tannehill has 3 multi-touchdown games over his last 12. So, I mean, he's kind of in that same boat as Flacco, we're not really getting the production. Even when he's in good matchups, you're really hesitant. But I don't know. I mean, just looking at the slate and looking at quarterbacks that were priced below Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, who are on the week, obviously, I thought that he was at a decent value.
Yeah. And then I think the last 2 weeks, Tannehill hasn't had to do anything at all because Ajayi has just run
because of
for
Ajayi.
2. Yeah. But I don't think he's not going to be able to, at least I don't think he's going to be able to do that against the Jets. And I was just pulling it up. The Jets are 27th in adjusted sack rate per DVOA. So I don't know. Quarterback is hard, man.
Yeah, I actually pulled it up too. I know they were average in sacks, but I pulled up their PFF pass rush grade, and they actually ranked dead last. So I think I was just completely wrong on that.
Well, good to know that they're not good. Yeah, quarterback is tough this week, man. The Fantasy Labs models have Flacco as the highest rated quarterback this week, and I don't think I'll own Flacco. I was talking to Reeves on Twitter, and he sent me just a little graph comparing Flacco to Osweiler, yards per attempt and completion percentage and stuff, and it's really, really close. Flacco's been really, really bad. I mean, do either of you have interest in Flacco this week? People were talking about him.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. But
I don't even think the matchup's that good. Good enough to warrant. I don't know.
Yeah, and Pitt's up and down, and especially a divisional matchup, Ravens-Steelers games seem to be the absolute grossest of all the divisional games. I don't know. I have not.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I don't know, man. I think I'm just going to play Johnny Holton and go A-Rod, Zeke, Le'Veon, AB, Julio, and whatever D I want.
Are you gonna play Johnny Holton on Thursday?
I think so, man. I mean, it's really bad. I don't want to play Kenny Stills. I don't want to play Ajayi against the Jets. I don't want to play coming off a high ankle sprain.
Yeah, it's a hard week. It's a hard week, that's for sure. But these are the best weeks, right? This is when Draft Cheat wins all the money, right?
I can't believe that the Bears just carved up the Vikings. What the heck was that all about, man?
That was the all week. I saw that Vegas line like being really weird, and I was just I was like, Jay Cutler is betting on the Bears or something. Like this isn't sharp money, and then, and then there it I don't know, dude. The Vikings are. I don't know.
Well, I saw that too, but then as the game neared on Monday, like it pretty much got back to the original line. So I was like, oh, okay, but then that happened. I mean, that was just freaking crazy. It like comes back from the dead against the Vikings defense.
Yeah.
And like Cutler had like a clean pocket like almost the entire game. Like getting the ball out quickly, like Cutler all of a sudden is a leader. And like rallying his teammates and stuff. That was wild. Never know.
I heard a lot of people kind of like forgive Cutler's poor performance to start the season in excuse of Hoyer's great performance. Just that, like Hoyer had Howard going off for a lot of those games. And with Cutler, he had Langford, and the running game was kind of atrocious. I want to get your opinion on John Fox here, though, just because I really liked Howard a lot over the winter and heading into camp. And he looks fantastic, at least when he's getting like 16 or more carries. What is Fox doing? Because we've seen him misuse running backs in the past. Is he like a Mike Shanahan type who's just going to trot out Ryan Terrain if he had the better practice, or do you have any idea?
That's what it seemed like. And I mean, Jordan Howard is still a rookie, but I mean, it's real clear that he's their best back. I mean, it's real clear. It's just, there was a 2-game stretch where, like they got Kadeem Carey back, and it seems like the coaching staff just loves Kadeem Carey for whatever reason. And I mean, he had some nice runs for them, so they were like playing the hot hand game. And I was impressed by just the way that the offense was called against Minnesota. I mean, they were using a lot of bootlegs and using Jay Cutler's mobility. And I mean, it was an impressive offensive performance by the Bears, like from a coaching staff standpoint and from Cutler. I mean, I was really impressed by the Bears offense. I'm shocked that I was impressed by that, but I mean, I don't know how you couldn't be.
Yeah. I mean, the Vikings didn't show up at all.
Yeah, dude, what the hell?
Yeah, Scott, I don't know if you saw. I saw PFF. I guess it's Nathan, right? Was tweeting out like the missed tackles from the Vikings. It was like insane. They were missing like every tackle that they could possibly miss. Harrison Smith, who's like arguably their best player on defense, just like completely whiffed on Jordan Howard on that big run too.
I mean, in his defense, Jordan Howard's like top 5 in missed tackles forced per touch this season. He's been fantastic at that.
Yeah, but Harrison Smith's he's like not a guy that misses tackles. It was just crazy. And then Diggs came back to life with 13 targets.
Just wild stuff.
Here's the real question, though, for this week. Can we play Bradford against the Lions?
No. I mean, the Vikings' offensive line, we knew that it wasn't great, Well, we knew it was bad. But, I mean, they faced the Eagles in week 7, okay? And we know the Eagles, I mean, they have a great pass rush, so they really exploited the Vikings offensive line, but the Bears don't have a great pass rush. They've had a couple good games where their pass rush came alive, like against the Colts. But I mean, going into that game, the Bears played bad run defense and they didn't have very good pass rush. And so, I mean, I thought it was reasonable to think that the Vikings could at least be like competent with their offensive line play. But I mean, they got destroyed. Bradford was holding on to the ball forever. I mean, it was they got out coached. I mean, the Vikings got out coached by the Bears and outmanned. I mean, it was just it was wild. I don't know. Let's stop talking about it. Sorry.
So Sam Bradford is 5,000 on DraftKings this week, site minimum. Against the Lions. I'm not sure if Darius Slay is going to be back or not. Evan probably knows.
I would guess not.
Okay. The Lions are giving up the highest opposing QB rate of any defense. And I think the most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks, at least top 3. I think Rudolph's in play too. He's averaging 7.7 targets per game. Seems to be their top red zone threat. Detroit's giving up the most fantasy points per game to opposing tight ends. They don't really have much of a running game. He's not in play for you, Evan?
I mean, do you think that this is a situation where a good football team – I mean, I think the Vikings are a good football team. I thought that like 3 days ago. Like, gets embarrassed on primetime and goes back home and gets right.
Right.
You know? I mean, I think that is very conceivable. But, I mean, after what we saw, like, I just – again, like, my confidence in him is, like, gone. The Lions did lose Armonte Bryant to a suspension. I mean, this dude is always suspended, but he had been, like, stepping up as their best pass rusher, and they traded for Jonathan Banks, who the Bucs were originally going to cut. And that would seem to signal to me that they don't expect Darius Slay to be back. So, and even if he is, I mean, you know, like, he has a hamstring injury, you know, so he's not scaring you. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could, I guess you could come up with a narrative to convince yourself of it, but I don't know. I'm like, my confidence is gone after watching that game, and that's probably not the way to assess this situation based on a 1-game sample in, like, the worst possible outcome. But I'm rattled.
Yeah. And I think the tell for Bradford is that he's actually on DraftKings. He's below Sean Hill. Like, you have to scroll past Sean Hill to pick him. So I think that just tells you where he where his value is.
He'll definitely be low owned.
Yeah. I mean the Vikings D is someone to get back on. I think if McKinnon's out again, I think Asiata is interesting again. Like, Detroit gets smashed against running backs too. The usage was there. It's just the Bears just, like, completely swallowed up their line. And we know, I mean, the Lions, like, they're supposed to be a good rushing defense, or like everyone thinks they are, but they're not. But
they're horrible.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Theo Riddick on the other side? So he led the team in targets last week with 11. He also had 11 carries. Zach Zenner was the only other running back. He had 3 carries and 1 target. Dwayne Washington was the healthy scratch. He's like their Ty Montgomery.
Yeah, he really is.
I think he's like a solid play almost every week. And I don't think his price went up too much either.
Yeah, he's not a guy that I ever play. I mean, he's got to be, like, in the most perfect possible spot for me to really play him.
His price actually went down on DraftKings this week.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to see where he is on FanDuel too.
The Vikings have definitely, even before Howard, the Vikings were giving up a lot in the receiving game to opposing backs. So I'm with you, though. I mean, he's going to play a ton of snaps, and he's going to get a ton of touches.
Yeah, and Theo was such a, like, he had no ceiling last year.
Yeah.
But this year he does. I don't know. He's a guy I can never get right either. But he's going to be super popular this week, I think, after his big game last week. And, like, he won the Millionaire Maker for Eric.
He was such an obvious play last week when Dwayne Washington was a healthy scratch. I feel so dumb for not playing it.
Well, it could be worse. I made 15 Derek Carr Cooper lineups that I was going to put in the early slate with Reed and Eifert on them, and I made them Sunday night, and I was like tired, and I was like, well, I'm just going to upload them like in the morning. So then like I slept through lock, and I didn't upload any of them.
And I had a good one that I thought had a shot. It was a Thursday lock one with Carr and Cooper and Gronk. And Devonta Freeman, and then I had Asiata and Vikings defense. Yeah, dude. So fucking like this just makes me want to vomit.
Yeah. Now I know why you hate the Vikings.
Yeah.
That was.
I was gonna ask if you got knocked out of a suicide pool, but that'll do it.
No.
Since we're kind of going out of order here, I'm just curious for my own sake. What is your typical week of preparation and like what's your typical process on a week for DFS?
Just like watch as much as I can on Monday, and then like really jump into stats like late Monday and then all Tuesday, and then I mean, just writing, just constant writing. And then, I don't know, like, I mean, I try to like make lineups as I write, like if I come up with an idea, I'll make a lineup, and then I just like finalize everything on Thursday, cause I play like the bulk of my volume in the Thursday lock contests. Like I'm not trying to win $1 million, I'm just trying to I try to treat it as a side job. Yeah. And then, I start, reading other people's stuff, like on Fridays, and like watching shows, and, I don't know. I guess that's it.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you want to do here, Johnny? Do you want to just go talk about the next game, or just go from favorite play to favorite play?
Let's talk. I think the Cowboys-Browns game is like a big one to talk.
Yeah,
I think we got to talk this game. So like I've been making lineups so far this week, and I keep ending up with Dak and Zeke both. In my cash game lineups. And then like I look at Dez, and like he had 14 targets. But I want to know like what PFF has for him for targets, because I know a lot of them were throwaways. So what's up with that?
My notes say Dez Bryant saw 14 targets, which is the most he's seen since week 5 of 2014.
Okay. So PFF had him for 14 as well?
Let me make sure that's not from Sunday.
Okay. Evan, what do you think about the Cowboys? Like, how much Cowboys do you want?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely want a lot. Zeke is real expensive. I mean, as he should be, but I want him. I want him for sure. Like that run D was doing okay early in the season, but it has really broken down recently. And I mean, it doesn't even matter how good your run defense is when you face the Cowboys. So yeah, I want Zeke, and I wouldn't be afraid to play him in the same lineup as Dak either.
Yeah. So Bryant had 11 targets. I really agree with Evan here. Elliott's leading all running backs in touches per game. If his long run wasn't called back, he'd have over 125 rushing yards in each of his last 5 games. Only one game of his career, he had fewer than 20 carries. He averaged over 8.5 yards per carry in that game. So Zeke ranks 32nd among running backs and targets, so he's like not really doing a lot of damage through the air. But that's okay because Cleveland's giving up the second most fantasy points to running backs just on the ground. So it just kind of like matches up perfectly. And then I get what you're saying with Dak. Cleveland's like very susceptible against the pass too. Bottom 5 in opposing QB rating, bottom 5 in big plays to receivers, 4th most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. But someone I think is like super interesting is McCown this week, especially if Corey Coleman comes back. I can see him being like the garbage time king this year, kind of like what Blake Bortles was last year. But McCown might be the better quarterback. Cowboys are also going to be without Claiborne and their safety, Barry Church. What do you think about that, Evan?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, so I agree with you. So let's just play devil's advocate. But the Cowboys are really going to be able to control this game with their running game. I mean, theoretically. So is that a concern for you with McCown's play volume? I mean, I love Josh McCown. Like I played him in 1 p.m. cash yesterday or last week. I played him on DraftKings cash. And he was great. I mean, he was a top 10 fantasy quarterback last week. But, well, actually, first of all, are we sure it's going to be McCown?
Yeah, I was just going to say.
And second of all, are you worried about the Browns' play volume? Because this is a game that the Cowboys, on paper, should really be able to control.
So I think you're right. I think pace is always a concern when you're playing the Cowboys. But I think you should have that concern as well with Dak. Like Johnny was saying, he's making some Dak, Zeke lineups. And I don't see why you can't go McCown, Zeke if McCown's definitely playing.
Yeah, and the Browns today listed Kessler and McCown as co-starters, like for whatever that means. So as for Thursday lock, I don't know if we're even going to know. I guess they think they have some kind of strategic advantage by doing that, but I don't know. And we've also seen something that's a little worrisome with the Browns is like we've seen them take quarterbacks out and put other quarterbacks in. So I don't think it's completely out of the question that, like, if one or the other is struggling midway through, that they just switch. I mean, we've seen Hogan came in and did some things this Sunday with McCown there. I don't know. It's a weird thing that they're doing with their quarterbacks. But, I mean, with Claiborne out and Church out, I think their passing defense is bad, though. So volume definitely a concern, but I think efficiency more so. And with Pryor, Coleman, and Barnage, I think they actually have legitimate weapons.
Dude, they have nasty weapons. They have serious weaponry.
Yeah, and then I mean they have Duke too, though they don't use him like they should. But
yeah,
I mean Pryor's a guy I like this week. Even if even if McCown or Kessler only get 35 attempts, I mean, Pryor's probably getting 10 of them, though Coleman coming back probably hurts him. That's a tough call, who to play in their passing core. Scott?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to add anything just because I completely agree with that assessment. It does seem kind of tricky. Evan, you've kind of been all over Barnage lately. It makes sense, the McCown-Barnage connection. But then Pryor's been playing lights out. But Coleman was the guy before he went down. Do you have any idea this week?
No, I have no idea. Gary Barnage scored a touchdown last week, but only got a foot in, and then he also drew a defensive pass interference in the end zone, and Isaiah friggin' Crowell scores the touchdown on the next play. I mean, it was that kind of week,
Yeah. Oh yeah, Barnage was very tilting.
McCown or Barnage comes out with a 32-yard gain on the first play of the game. Like, yes. Here we go, man. I'm ready for this. I'm ready.
Oh, that's tilting.
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah.
This is why you guys got to play. Do you guys play NBA?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
It's so much better. It's like, you have like a certain level of expectation for a guy, and he'll play a little bit above that, or he'll play like a little bit below that. And I mean, you don't get like Julio and Hilton weeks,
Oh, Hilton.
and then you just like you win or you lose, and it's like, but with NFL, it's just you have to capitalize on every opportunity because you don't get many of them, I mean, and it's kind of wild. We were lucky to get those first 7 weeks where things kind of happened as they should have, but last week, a lot of stuff didn't happen as it should have. And I mean, Devontae Booker was like 8 yards total from like a 4 touchdown game last week. He I mean, Asiata was tough repeatedly at the goal line. Barnage has those horrible plays. Andrew Luck loses like 90 yards to like penalties, including a 45-yard touchdown to Moncrief late in the game.
Crabtree too, I felt like had like 21 fantasy points called back on penalties.
Yeah. He didn't really get going until real late.
Yeah. I mean, even Carr didn't really get going until a little later in the game. But that was a fun one. Last week was the first week where like I really disagreed with the chalk cash quarterback. Yeah. I was telling Scott all week just like I can't play Jameis Winston in cash games. So that's how I felt like coming in it was going to be a rocky week because he was going to be the most owned quarterback. And there it was.
Yeah, I never got that. Like real early, and then on Aces, he was the highest owned quarterback by a landslide. So he wasn't even really like a tourney play either. I feel like we should talk about Kansas City, just because they're favored by 9 at home. So we don't know. So Alex Smith reportedly didn't suffer a concussion. Spencer Ware did. We're probably not going to know his status. But if he doesn't play, then Charkandrick West probably is the chalk. We saw so Spencer Ware has 5 20-point games over the past 2 seasons. Charkandrick West has 3. Nile Davis had 2 in 2014. I feel like just whoever the starting running back is for Andy Reid is going to eat, and especially so when their depth chart is as depleted as it is. And then the 9-point favorites at home kind of just makes it that much more attractive.
Yeah, I mean, he's an awesome play. No question. I mean, Jaguars, they've played okay pass defense, I think, so far this year, but I mean they haven't been very good against the run. I mean they haven't really faced anybody, and then when they did face somebody, I mean DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry ate in the same game against them. They gave up a 100-yard rushing game to Melvin Gordon earlier in the year. They've had like one of the easiest rushing offense schedules in the league, and I mean, when they have faced decent backfields, they've gotten pretty much eaten up. I mean, they're not a worrisome matchup at all, and West should get a ton of work, just like last year if Ware is out.
Yeah, and are you playing Allen Robinson at his FanDuel price? Like FanDuel has just like given up on Allen Robinson.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I saw that too. He's tempting, dude, at 6,700. I mean, he still got 15 targets last week. He still has a ton of He still gets a ton of red zone action.
He's
He had
cheaper
15
than Devontae Adams.
He had 15 targets last week. Kansas City's pass defense, I feel like, really isn't that good this year. And they're not getting pressures either. They had the fewest pressures per game heading into last week, but then they had 25 against Andrew Luck.
Dude, that is just freaking crazy. Like, the Colts have problems, man. They have serious, serious problems. All of a sudden, your pass rush just comes alive when you – they had the worst pass rush in football before last week.
Yeah.
Chiefs did.
So I don't know if the stat is legit or not, but I found it. Kansas City is giving up the most fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers who line up to their quarterback's left. And that's where A-Rob spends the majority of his time, about like 45% of his routes line to the left. So I don't know if do you think that makes sense at all? Do you think Kansas City's right cornerback has been a problem this season? Who is that?
Oh, yeah. It's been Phillip Gaines and another dude.
Yeah, they've been bad.
Yeah, I can't remember who the other dude is. I can't remember, but yeah, they've been really bad. I mean, they've been bad in the slot too.
Steven Nelson?
Yeah.
No, Steven Nelson's in the slot.
Steven Nelson is in the slot.
DJ White.
DJ White, yes. Yeah.
So it's a good matchup for Robinson. Definitely,
oh, yeah.
In playing tournaments, I guess. It's like feels so gross. Bortles and Osweiler kind of have this thing where just like their entire offense is poison.
What's weird though is it's like Allen Robinson is playing. He's playing very poorly this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been bad.
I think he leads the league in drops. He's one of PFF's worst graded wide receivers.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Ranks 92nd out of 113 wide receivers.
The price is super tempting, but I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can do. And then you got Bortles bringing in this quarterback's throwing coach or whatever it is.
What do you guys think about Aaron Rodgers at home against the Packers or Drew Brees against San Francisco?
That's the thing with Brees is it's like he's not at home, but like being against the Niners is like they're just so bad. So
can I make the case for Rodgers and then you make the case for Brees?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So Aaron Rodgers has 58 fantasy points over the last 2 weeks, which is the most in the league. I think what happened was, so like 3 weeks ago, I tweeted about how Rodgers used to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league on deep balls in terms of accuracy. And this season and last season, he's been like the worst quarterback in the league in terms of deep ball accuracy. So over these past 2 weeks, he ranks 28th in average depth of target, and which is another thing that has me on Ty Montgomery. So Ty Montgomery had 10 targets and 10 receptions over his last 2 games that he played. He's being used as an extension of the running game, which kind of just means more free points for Rodgers. Indy is giving up the 4th most fantasy points per game to running backs through the air, which is kind of his role. And then I'm not sure if Cobb plays, but Cobb had the most targets of any player in the 3 weeks prior to last week. Jordy kind of looked back last week. Adams kind of looks legit. Colts are not pressuring the quarterback at all. They're surrendering the 3rd highest QB rating to opposing quarterbacks. Green Bay's at home favored by 7. It feels like in a season, like in the average DFS season, there's like mini seasons in terms of like 3-week intervals, and the first part was Rodgers is cooked, he's done, and now at least the past few weeks it looks like Rodgers is like a top fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, and the crazy thing for him is like they they've completely abandoned the running game. And then the Packers are one of the top pass rushing teams. They're like the 4th or 5th in adjusted sack rate, and they're just going to smash the Colts offensive line.
Yeah, dude, you got to play. People are going to want to play the Chiefs against the Jags, and I mean, I think that they're a fine play. But I think the Packers against the Colts, I think that's hotter to me. That's hotter to me. Aaron Rodgers now leads the NFL in red zone pass attempts. And I mean, they're just going to be thrown in the red zone. Like they're not going to be handing the ball off in the red zone. Like he's like one of the best bets for like 3 touchdown games that there is, just because they're going to be throwing so much in the red zone. Add to that, the Colts have allowed multiple touchdown passes in 5 straight games to the likes of like Nick Foles and I mean a bunch of other garbage quarterbacks. I mean, it sets up really well for Rodgers. The one thing that I really like about the San Francisco-New Orleans game is that it's going to be super fast-paced. The 49ers are allowing, I think, the second most offensive plays per game at 70, and the Saints are playing the fastest on offense in the league, and they're ripping off 70 plays per game. I mean, they could get up 85 offensive plays in this kind of a game.
It reminds me of like the Cam Newton game where people were talking about like, you shouldn't play him because they're just going to go up by so much that they'll take their foot off the gas. But like because their pace is so high, it's kind of like you get that extra quarter of work anyway. Though didn't Chip Kelly just recently say he wanted to start operating at a slower pace? I don't know.
Not that I'm aware of.
All right.
Yeah. I haven't heard that.
He has had some games where like he played slower, or at least for part of the game. I remember they did that against Seattle. They played slower, and then they got down by like 30 points, and they started playing fast again and like handing the ball off to Carlos Hyde, and Carlos Hyde finishes like a top 3 fantasy running back because he got all these garbage time rushing stats. Such a joke.
The Niners are the kings of garbage time now. Yeah, this one's like I can't believe that the Saints are only favored by like 3.5 or so in this one. But the over, it's gone up. I think it opened at 51. It's already up to 52. And like it's
the fastest paced game on the slate.
Yeah,
for sure.
And like Breeze might not be as efficient on the road. Like, yeah, he throws picks and he usually doesn't throw for as many touchdowns, but he seems to still have like similar yardage numbers. And I just like, this just isn't a team that I feel like he's going to play bad against even on the road. I have a hard time seeing it. And then I have no idea what to do with the Saints running game.
It's such an amazing spot too. I really feel like we're not getting the full story on Ingram. It just like didn't make any sense to me, especially because like throughout his career he's like fumbled at a really like low rate. Do you have any idea what's going on, Evan?
Just lost fumbles in back-to-back games, and I kind of believe what Sean Payton said. What he said was that he didn't actually intend to bench Ingram for like the entire game, but Hightower was running hot, and I mean they just owned that game in time of possession against Seattle. I mean, it was like 37-23 or 36-24. And I mean, I think they were just content to ride Hightower. I mean, he was running well, and it was like, well, I mean, if he's running well, then it's not fair to him. It's not fair to the team to pull him out and put Ingram back in. So I think Ingram definitely bounces back. I mean, they're 3-4. They should be 4-4 after this week. They are certainly not, a team that has any designs on like. I mean, they still probably think that they have a shot at the playoffs, and they know that Ingram's their best back. I think he'll be fine. I really do. But Hightower has earned more work, so I mean, I think Hightower probably gets like at least 9 touches this week, and maybe a lot more.
After Hightower got stuffed 3 times at the one, you think Ingram's the bet for the goal line work?
Dude, I mean, that could be Kuhn. That could be like
That's true.
Yeah.
Lasco. We've seen Lasco get some work down there in scoring position.
Yeah.
That's a mess.
It's so tilting because, like, it's just the Niners matchup is just like the nuts running back matchup. And then.
Yeah.
Dude, I bet you Ingram heats back up this week, man. He's not going away.
Yeah. I mean, like, Ingram is definitely a tournament play. Like,
Yeah.
you got to load up on Ingram in tournaments, but elsewhere, I can't do it. No, Breeze though, for sure.
On a 1-for-1 basis, you want Chiefs at home against the Jags or Packers at home against the Colts?
The Packers.
I like the Packers at home. I still really like Luck, though.
Yeah.
He's PFF's second highest graded passer this season. Like, he's playing probably like the best football of his career. He's just not getting any help from his offensive line. His receivers are all hurt. I don't know what to make of Hilton. Green Bay's kind of like a funnelish defense. They're giving up 77% of their fantasy points through the air, which is the most of any team. They're vulnerable against big plays. They're giving up the second highest percentage of 30-yard plays to wide receivers per attempts, more than Oakland, more than the Jets. Also, PFF's top projected tight end this week is Jack Doyle. I know Johnny's down on him, so I kind of want to just here's like the argument to make for him is he's run the 3rd most routes and has the 7th most targets over the past 3 weeks. I keep throwing this Kobe Fleener stat out there. In Fleener's last 2 seasons with the Colts, he averaged 7 points per game when Allen played, and when he did not, he averaged 18.8 fantasy points per game. Are you on Doyle? Johnny's shaking his head no.
Yeah. Packers are bad against the tight end. You know, their inside linebackers are terrible in coverage. They, due to Quentin Rollins, their slot corner's injury, they've had to use Micah Hyde at slot corner, and Micah Hyde is usually the guy that they use against tight ends. I don't know. Jack Doyle, he lost some snaps last week to Swoop, but I mean, and he didn't really do much. But I don't think that we really had expectations for him to do much against the Chiefs. I mean, I didn't. I started him like in one season-long spot, and I just because I didn't have any better options. But I mean, I didn't have expectations for him, and then this should be an up-tempo game for sure. I think it has the highest total on the slate, 54, I want to say. And yeah, I mean, it's a good matchup with a lot of scoring. Jack Doyle leads the team in red zone targets and targets inside the 10-yard line. Like, it's not going to be a 9-catch game probably for him with Kreef back, but he's as good a bet as any Colts pass catcher to score a touchdown, I think.
My whole thing with him has just been like, I think Dante Moncrief probably becomes the primary red zone target now that he's back.
Okay.
And I think
Over Doyle?
I mean, is Luck going to continue using Jack Doyle as his primary red zone target? I mean, the guy's like he's not athletic at all.
He's been good there, though, right? He's been efficient.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been good, but I think he's kind of been like that guy by default. That's just, I don't know. I mean, T.Y. Hilton's been getting touchdowns, and we know that T.Y. Hilton doesn't score touchdowns. I mean,
yeah, but how many of those were red zone? targets, those touchdowns on red zone targets, and not deep balls.
I don't know if he has any red zone touchdowns right now, but he's been getting. I mean, they've had to use guys in the red zone that they wouldn't normally be using.
Proctor can just not comprehend Jack Doyle being awesome.
I really can't. Like I played 100% Jack Doyle.
Did you?
Against not this past week.
Right.
When they played Tennessee.
The week
Yeah.
before.
Oh yeah. But he was like minimum priced on I think both of the sites. But now he's like up in price, and then I think the Packers, they might get Clay Matthews back this week too. I don't know, man. I'm like off the Jack Doyle train. He practically split work with Swoop last week.
Yeah, he lost some work to Swoop, no question.
Dante Moncrief only has 4 more career touchdowns than Jack Doyle.
Oh my god. I'm never gonna win this one. I'm just not gonna play him, and
I probably won't play him either, but I don't think he's a bad play at all. And I mean, I got him in a season long, and I'll roll him in season long for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I agree there.
Yeah. All right, let's hit on maybe a couple more guys.
Yeah.
Just in real football terms, I'm not sure what's going on here, and I know you've probably watched the games. What's up with Mariota, who's averaging about 240 yards per game over his last 4 games? Over that span, he has 11 touchdowns, 1 on the ground, only 1 interception, 2 games with at least 60 rushing yards. Have the Titans just really figured out their offense?
I mean, it looked like they did in the last game. In the couple games before that, I was like, he's kind of getting away with, these high touchdown games, but he really isn't playing well. Like, he has this kind of tendency to like drop back and make throws off his back foot that sail like wildly high in the air. And he's gotten away with that on a lot of occasions. And he really, it's probably a good thing that Andre Johnson is now going away, and that they should get Kendall Wright more involved. Kendall Wright can make plays. Rashard Matthews can make plays. Tajay Sharp is like, he's starting to go away too. They had to drop his playing time last week. But, they have like some decent weapons. I think early in the year, like, they were really counting on a lot from Tajay Sharp, and that wasn't happening. And Delaney got hurt there for a while, and that was really bad. So, maybe they'll really start to get it rolling. I think in the second half they have a really favorable schedule. And, Mariota has certainly, like, capitalized on bad matchups so far in fantasy. I didn't think from watching the games that he was playing that well. But, he was good in fantasy, and every week it was like, yo, Miami, yo, Cleveland, yo, Indy, you're rolling them out. I thought against Jacksonville he was like an okay play. But, he had a solid week. I think he was like top 12 or top 13, something like that, top 14. I don't know.
Yeah, this week's not a good match. Like, the Chargers are way better at defending the pass than people continue to give them credit for.
Agree.
Is Parrish Cox going to play?
Well, dude, his backup is Antoine Blake. So.
It's Valentino Blake now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, I want to use Tyrell Williams this week, but I don't know if he's healthy.
I'm worried. Look at these games, man. Buffalo, Seattle, no. Denver, Oakland, no. Carolina, Rams, no. Philly, Giants, no.
Yeah.
What are you doing with the entire Steelers offense? I feel like Ben Roethlisberger, is he going to play?
Yeah, I think
He
so.
is?
I think so. Love Bell. Just love Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. With Steve, like when Jimmy Smith has been on the field the last couple of weeks, the Ravens have been really good against like top wide receivers. Like although Marshall's been shutting himself down, but they shut down Marshall, they shut down Beckham in the first half of that game, and then when Smith went out, Beckham went for like 200 yards.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the side that Brown will be. I mean, he plays both sides, but that's the side that he'll sort of be on the most. Not that I think Smith's really a problem, but he's definitely the best corner that the Ravens have.
Yep.
Yeah. So I've been talking to Scott. I kind of want to play Kenny Britt this week. What do you think about Britt? Like, he's got 8 targets in back-to-back weeks. He had a bad game his last game, which we sort of projected him to have a bad game for. Yeah. He blew up the week before that. And then the Panthers corners are like really, really bad. And I think they're like one of the worst teams against wide receiver ones in the league, unless we consider Tavon Austin to be the Rams wide receiver one. I don't know. I'm kind of looking at it, especially now that people are going to be off of him after the letdown after the big game.
Yeah, I mean, just Johnny Holton's a lot cheaper.
Oh, it's killing me. Can't wait for Britt to go off this week. I'll be the only person who owns him.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I'm with you.
All right. I don't want to use Britt anymore.
The Rams are not going to be able to run the ball on the Panthers. I mean, if the Panthers play anything like they did last week, they just destroyed the Carolina or the Arizona offensive line. I mean, Kuechly and Shaq Thompson and Thomas Davis were just living in the backfield against David Johnson. I mean, just so many tackles for losses. And then the Rams' offensive line is even worse than the Cardinals' offensive line. Who knows what's going to happen in these games, man? But it's a mismatch for Gurley, and it should be a funnel situation for sure, which theoretically would be good for Britt.
I think Carlos Hyde and DeMarco Murray are both kind of in good spots. Can you tell me anything about their injury status right now?
Carlos Hyde was in a non-contact jersey today, but I bet he takes that off by Wednesday or Thursday. And then who was the other guy?
DeMarco Murray, toe injury.
Expected to be fine. I would love for Derrick Henry to come open.
Yeah.
He's a bad dude.
Yeah, that was a weird one. Like they said something like the MRI came away mostly good, something like that. It was like a weird quote. Oh, good for the most part.
Oh, interesting.
So I don't know what that means. But that was a little bit of a worrisome thing. What do you think about Gore? He's a guy that I keep looking at every week, like as a cash game play, and then I end up never using him.
Yeah, and he scores a touchdown every week. But I mean, not this week, dude. This is worst case scenario here. I mean, you got bad game script. You got a tough matchup. I mean, Freeman didn't really get much rolling on the ground against the Packers last week in Atlanta. And Gore lost a ton of snaps last week to Turbin.
Okay.
Turbin was in a lot. Like I don't think he got a ton of touches, Turbin, but he was in there. looking here. So
Gore's just been intriguing because he's been getting like passing game usage, more so than I had expected him to get.
yeah, he scored a touchdown in the passing game. He scored like a 33-yard touchdown on a check down last week. But he, I don't know. I think he had like 3 targets or something.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. Like heading into that, I was like, ooh, this is promising. You know, we got this going. But then, boom, you know, he gets like 11 touches and 3 targets and loses a bunch of work to Turbin.
Yeah. All right. I hadn't looked at his snaps, so that's I take that back. Running backs or finding value at running back is tough this week.
Yeah, for sure.
So I keep looking at guys. Oh, let's talk. I know Scott's boy Forte. Do you think this like crazy usage for him is going to keep up? Like for me, I just keep feeling like a guy his age isn't meant to be touching the ball like 30 times a game. But
yeah, I mean, they win every time they do it. Every time that they've really given Forte a lot of work, they win. I mean, I guess that's, you know, correlation, causation, but like when they have used him as their feature back, their offense seems to run more smoothly.
And the Dolphins are definitely, they seem to be worse against the run lately than they are against the pass, though I don't think they're really particularly good against either.
Yeah, they're top 10 in DVOA in pass defense, but I don't view them as like, ooh, you're facing the Dolphins pass defense, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm kind of worried about Forte's efficiency. So like last week, Powell had only 6 fewer rushing yards and 19 fewer carries. I loved that matchup. I thought he was a great tournament play, but and you were the one kind of like down on that given just his age, and it does seem like he's probably declining. He has that injury. He was on the injury report every week since week 2. I don't know. So he's definitely not someone I'm too excited about this week. Gates is another guy like that who's like old and kind of looks cooked, but leading all tight ends in targets the last 2 weeks. Always has that touchdown upside.
Yeah. I mean, Gates has been on like an upward trajectory every week, getting a ton of targets. I mean, and every time that they're close in, they're looking at him, you know? Did he have a TD last week? I remember.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. And he had another red zone target or another end zone target too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just looks so bad on the field, though.
Yeah.
Like, he looks so slow.
I feel like he's looked like that for like the last 4 years, though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I get he's been really like inefficient this year, though. With the targets that he's getting. Like, I keep looking at him every week, and I'm like, man, this guy's getting so much work. And then it's like, he has like 30 yards.
Right.
On like 10 targets. Yeah, he hasn't cleared 50 yards yet this season. I don't know. The volume's definitely there. It's definitely there.
Yeah, he has 5 end zone targets in 6 games so far.
Yeah.
Which is easily like top 10. But what about Jordan Matthews? Are you guys on him at all? Giants are giving up the 3rd most fantasy points per game to receivers out of the slot. He had 15 targets and 24 fantasy points against the Cowboys last week. That was with Skandrick back. He has good history against the Giants. I'm not sure if Eli Apple's going to play or not. If that happens, DRC might have to move back out to the slot. Do you know what's going on there, Evan? Any thoughts?
I'm to the point where Jordan Matthews, I'm never going to play him in daily fantasy, but I mean, I think that he does have a good matchup. You know, how many targets did he get last week?
14.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah.
15 per PFF.
Yeah.
Oh my God. No Eagles receiver entering that game since week 2 had seen more than 7 targets.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Jordan Matthews pops up with 15.
Yeah. But he only had like 65 yards. No, I think the Eagles smashed the Giants. The Giants' biggest issue, like Eli has been so bad against pressure this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Eagles just they just get after the quarterback. So, and that we see like the Eagles, they will not. And I didn't really understand this line when it came out, but I don't think the Giants are going to beat the Eagles. And if the Eagles get up in this game, they don't throw the ball. They throw it like 3 yards down the field.
Yep.
So I'm not excited really about this game. I don't really want to play anyone from this game except for the Eagles defense.
Agree.
I like
OBJ?
Sproles.
Oh, yeah, Sproles. OBJ?
He has that hip thing, right? They just came off their bye, though.
Yeah, I mean, he should be healthy. The Eagles corners are not good, but their pass rush is insane.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I feel like Vegas must like him.
I mean, they project the line. The Giants opened as favorites, but
Wow.
It's a high total for them, too.
yeah, I think that will come down though. I hope. I mean, 75% of bets are in on the Eagles right now, so we'll see. Scott, you got anybody else you want to talk about?
I might be done. I like Kelvin Benjamin in a tournament if Tremaine Johnson's still out. I'm not sure if he is.
Agree.
Yeah, that makes sense. Evan, any other guys you want to bring up?
Make a Holton lineup on FanDuel.
You want to make a
And then I'm going to go to bed.
All right, let's do it. All right, so I'll put Holton in. Scott, do you have FanDuel up?
Do I have to make an account?
You don't even play. You don't play.
I'm just kidding. I'm just mad at FanDuel ever since Number Fire fired me for writing for DraftKings instead. All right, I got it up.
All right.
I got it.
All right. I got Holton in. Evan, do you want to go first?
Yeah. No. I'll go last.
All right. I'll go first then on this one. I'm going to stick Ingram in this one. Actually, no, we don't have to stick Ingram in. We have Holton in. I'm going to put Zeke in this one. Scott?
Give me Sproles.
Oh, dude.
No?
You cannot pick Sproles.
Not on FanDuel, man.
You have to pick like best possible plays.
Oh, on FanDuel?
We have Holton in. He's $0 at wide receiver.
Oh,
Okay.
we should clarify here. Maybe people don't know what we're talking about.
Okay.
How is that? How is this possible? I don't get it. Why is he 0?
So FanDuel made a mistake, and Johnny Holton is priced at $0.
They're not going to fix it?
No.
Oh, my God.
They've done this before, like during baseball season. And people play like pinch hitters and hope that they get like a single at bat.
No, but the point is to get in like big boppers,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's a dude in baseball that is priced at what was it, $27 instead of $2,700.
Yeah, I think that's
Then
right.
maybe you can get in like Trout and
Yeah.
I don't even know any good baseball players, but in this situation, because you can get in Holton at 0, then you can get in like you got to pick the best plays on the week.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why Proctor started with Zeke against the
Okay.
Browns. Yeah.
Okay.
So just who's your favorite quarterback on the week? Who's your favorite receiver?
Okay. Give me Rodgers.
Okay.
All right. Now we're working, Scott.
I will go Lev Bell.
All right. Let's see. I don't wide receiver here. I am going to play. No, I'm gonna go defense because I'm lame, and I'm gonna play the Eagles.
Give me OBJ.
Against our defense. Oh well, that's all right.
Ouch.
It's all good.
All right. How do you guys feel about Julio on Thursday night?
I mean, I guess he should feasibly have one of the best matchups. I mean, we just saw Cooper dismantle them.
Yeah.
You're not worried about the injury?
He's just like monster spiked week or dud.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to make multiple tournament Thursday night lineups. Some with Sanu, who we've seen go off when Julio's been banged up. He has 2 games with 10 targets over the last 3 weeks, and then the rest with Julio, who can just blow up at any moment. We could take out OBJ and put in Julio if you want. It makes sense given the defense.
Okay. Who's the best tight end play on the week? Or do we just roll Rudolph?
That's a big question. I think tight end's tough this week. Like we saw, like the Rams are okay against the tight end, and then Olsen the targets have been dropping a little bit recently. I don't think it happens for Kelsey again this week.
No.
Delaney Walker has a good matchup since the Chargers are better against wide receivers. But
True.
You wanna go with Rudolph? He's super cheap.
Yeah. So then we got Julio, and then we take, I don't know, who's the next best receiver play on the board, assuming that Julio is one. Is it AB? Is it OBJ?
Man.
I would say it's probably AB.
Yeah, it's probably Brown. I mean, Evans is close, but he's so up and down.
So then you get a bunch of money to really upgrade here at kicker.
Yeah, I mean, or you can then you can play the whatever defense you want to, the Vikings, whoever you want at kicker. Yeah, I mean, you can play the top at every position as long as you save at tight end.
So is this worth it?
I don't know.
I mean, either.
You see, if you have one of those Pittsburgh-Baltimore games and Brown doesn't go off,
yep,
or Julio is a little more hurt than you think,
yep,
then you have like no, even when you play a punt play, like you're hoping that guy goes off, but with Holton, he's not going to go off at all. Yeah, I don't think it is. I mean, it limits your upside for sure. I mean, in a tournament, you want like every player to hit like on FanDuel like 15 plus, but then you're going to need to make up those 15 points that you're getting a 0 from elsewhere, and I don't know if you do it. What do you think, Scott?
I have no idea.
It's interesting to talk about, at least.
What do you think his ownership's going to be?
People are going to play him.
I bet it'll be like...
But it'll be low.
Below 10%.
Yeah.
for sure.
Then I like this move.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
There was a week in baseball where there was an actual starter who was priced at like 200 or something. He was bad, but he was an actual starter, and his ownership was like really high, just because he was gonna bat. So, but I mean, Holton's not gonna really do anything. I mean, most weeks he's completely not involved at all. Yeah, he hasn't had a touch, and I guess. Oh no, he's had those carries. That's right. He has those end arounds.
He has played 34 snaps this season, but hold on, 15 of those came last week.
Oh, don't
you
do
know
this.
the Johnny Holden breakout's coming.
And then those 15 snaps, he had what? 0.2 fantasy points. They have one carry.
I don't like this lineup. I think I accidentally went into a main slate. So if we're gonna go Julio, I think we should go Matt Ryan at quarterback. So we'll at least have one stack.
And then you have like 6,200 or so left over a kicker. I don't know. I just don't think you have to do it.
If it's only 10% owned, I like that a lot.
People are going to be talking about it all week, man. It'll be interesting to see what other people say.
Yeah.
I'm open to it. I mean, it's just I don't feel super comfortable about Julio right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
and I think in order to do it, you got to feel comfortable about Julio.
I don't feel comfortable about Julio, Beckham, or Brown.
Yeah.
They haven't been the consistent studs this year.
I feel pretty good about Brown. I feel okay about Brown. I think I feel the best about Brown right now.
Yeah. But then, I mean, unless Ben is not as healthy as we think, I don't know.
I think OBJ might be my favorite tournament play. And this is just coming from like 10 minutes ago.
I think it would be better if we had like Olsen or Gronk in a great spot against the Jets or something like that.
Yeah. Or like Olsen against Detroit.
Or if Reed wasn't on bye too.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. No thanks. Not doing it.
I'm probably not going to do it. I mean, you do have Graham against Buffalo, but he hasn't done much the last 2 weeks. 3 weeks.
He's fading.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
tough slate, dudes.
Yep.
Good luck with your decision making.
Yep. Thanks for coming on, man. It was fun talking Johnny Holton. Yep. And if anybody wants to, I mean, everybody obviously already follows Evan, but at Evan Silva on Twitter, at John Proctor DFS for me. Scott is at Scott Barrett DFB. Find us all there. Thanks for joining in. Sorry I wasn't in chat much, but we had fun this week.